guys, you're listening to Beauty Bites with Dr. K, Secrets of a Plastic Surgeon. And today on the podcast, I'm very delighted to introduce you to Kelley Nemiro, who's coming to us all the way from Vegas. Say, hey, Kelley.
Hi, Dr. K. So good to be with you today.
So, Kelley, you're a health and wellness coach, and tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life. I first met Kelley just before she was getting married in Los Angeles. Yeah. And since then, you have really blossomed on Instagram. I watch your feed and I love the health, wellness, meditation, and slow movement kind of a program that you've started. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I so appreciate it. And I started my program, or my whole Instagram rather, based on the fact that I went through some really hard times. It was pretty much in my early 20s where I was having really horrible irritable bowel syndrome, severe hypothyroidism where my hair was falling out and I had all this weight I couldn't lose because of this ongoing inflammation that was in my body. And at first I had no idea how to heal it. And so I was one of those people that tried everything out there, from the paleo diet to HIIT workouts to, everything that is under the sun. I gave it a go and I finally found things that worked for me. And it really came down to slowing things down, slowing all the stress down, taking that out of my life and healing that inflammation, which healed everything else. So when I was, really getting my Instagram started, I wanted to share that stuff with everybody else because I know there are so many people that are going through the same thing. And I want to tell them that it doesn't have to be that hard, like healing these things. We think that there are all these hard things that we have to do, programs that we have to start, diets that we have to start, where the reality is, just taking down the stress and slowing down is all it really takes. So, yeah.
That's amazing. It's opposite of what you think. You need to spend all this money and invest in a really tight schedule and doing so many different things, but it's actually quite the opposite that's worked for you. It's just telling yourself to back up, slow down. Mm-hmm. So you enrolled in this Institute for Integrative Nutrition and you became a certified health coach. And it's interesting because your Instagram feed completely changed, but you could see that it became green and bright and very vivid and fresh. So your imagery really echoes what you've been learning. What did you learn in integrative nutrition that you can teach us some pearls that we can bring in our lives?
Yes, that was honestly the best thing that I decided to go and do for myself because it made me feel comfortable with sharing the information that I already had. Plus, I learned so much more with all of my followers. And it allows me to work directly one-on-one with clients that I can help to coach. But when it comes to, really general things, I think the biggest thing that I learned from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition was that it's when everyone thinks it's about food, and nutrition really is about food, but it's about so much more. And it's about all the other primary food, that's what they call it, that goes into your life. So having a mindfulness practice, having some movement, having healthy relationships, noticing your emotions, those types of things all go into how you feel at the end of the day. And it's not just the food you're putting into your body. So we need to focus on the whole picture. So that was a lot of what I learned, plus some really great specifics on diet and exercise and hormonal health. That's a really big focus of mine. So I like to share just little nuggets here and there on my Instagram feed. But taking out stress is really what I've noticed that lowers inflammation, which is what I shared before, because as you know, you're a doctor, inflammation is the biggest cause of all these chronic diseases that so many people are facing in today's world. And it's so much more common. So I like to bring that brightness into my photos, into my feeds, so that I can share, with other people. So
awesome. So many people, I think, suffer from undiagnosed thyroid ailments and they feel something's wrong with their body. They just feel that they're trying so hard and their body's very sluggish, tired, and fatigued, and just not improving. And they go to the doctor, they have thyroid function testing done, and it might even come back normal. So It's one of these diseases that's very hard to pick up the subclinical hypothyroidism. Did you have that to some extent? Because I'm sure you passed your physicals.
Yeah. So for me, I think that was the biggest problem. The whole issue of not feeling good, what I was talking about before with my hair falling out and having weight that I couldn't lose, feeling super tired. I was like napping in the afternoons in my office back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hard. And I would go to the doctor, and my Western doctor, my family GP, would be like, nope, you're fine. You don't need anything. You're fine. And so finally I ended up going to a naturopath who was telling me what the optimal ranges for thyroid function are and how far out of those optimal ranges mine was. And as soon as she put me on supplementation, and then I started to figure out, okay, I need to really get out of my own way in terms of movement and meditation, and start a practice there. All of those things at the same time helped me to lower my dose of medication. And I still take a little bit, but not as much as I was taking before. And I just feel so much better in my body. So if you're out there and you have a thyroid issue, I have been there, I feel you, but it is possible to reverse it. I tell some of my clients all the time, I think that some women, or most women, go through it from some degree to another. I think that it's so hard in today's society with all the images that were being forced on us. So I really try, and I tell my clients to try to remove as many triggers as you can. So that means like unfollowing people on Instagram who are super, super skinny and make you feel like it's not their fault, but make you feel bad about yourself. Removing a scale from your bathroom if that's going to make you feel like you need to go restrict or go work out later on that day. So, trying to remove the things in your life that you feel are triggering you. And then if it's like a person or a family member who's triggering you, thinking about it in such a way that's like, you know what, so what if they think that I'm going to do what's right for my body because I love myself. And it took me years and years to get there, but it feels so much better when you just let go of all of that.
It's true. At every phase in your life, you have that challenge. In your 20s, you feel like you got to be skinny to get a partner or a mate, to be attractive. Then you got to be skinny to get into the wedding dress. And then you have the baby and you got to get skinny again to feel like sexy again. It's really challenging because there isn't a correct body weight. You're going to fluctuate your whole entire life, and you're never going to look like that model who photoshops her body anyway. It's like so many people have these twisted images of what's normal. Have you,
Totally.
I follow, and I think you probably follow Lauren Everett's The Skinny Confidential.
Oh, I love her. Yes.
She's awesome. Do you remember when she was eating so many Gigi crackers in her feed? Those are those thin fiber wheat crackers that they taste like cardboard, but they're just fiber. They're okay. But there's a whole controversy surrounding those Gigi crackers now about how the women that were eating them following that F factor diet were like really turning into this restrictive behavior where it really damaged their psyches quite a bit to think all they could ever have in their life was a piece of cardboard with some stuff smeared on it.
Yes.
And that is not what plant-based eating is. So can you tell us a little bit about plant-based eating and why following sort of like those kind of cult recipes to eat and live is not healthy?
Oh gosh. So I think that looking at stuff like that with the F factor and the GG crackers, it's all in an effort to be like low calorie. That's really the thing that it comes down to most. And the difference between that and plant-based eating is there is so much more to plant-based eating. It's healthy fats like avocados and coconut oil and carbs like quinoa and lentils, and putting those things together makes a protein, and having lots of green leafy vegetables and squash and sweet potatoes, all the things that come together that really deliver so much nutrient value to your body. And to me, the reason I eat that way is because it makes me feel good. And people say to me sometimes even the same thing. They're like, how are you so disciplined? And I like to say to people, I'm not disciplined because I give my body what it wants. If I want to have like a veggie burger with fries, I'm going to do it. But I know that having the veggie burger makes me feel better than having this really heavy meat burger. So it's just a way of looking at things a little bit differently. Never being like, oh, I'm only going to have a salad today, or I'm only going to have this G cracker or whatever the case may be. Really giving my body all of the nutrients that it needs, the flavors that it wants, but in a way where I'm getting the most nutrient anti-inflammatory diet.
Why did you decide on being a vegetarian and no meat products?
It took me a long time to get here. I grew up in a family, an Italian family, where meat was the center of the dish every single meal, from eggs for breakfast, turkey sandwich for lunch, and veal scallopini for dinner. That was what I grew up with. And then as my health was kind of in flux for those years in my 20s, I tried everything from the paleo diet. I tried keto for a little while to see what would make me feel good and how I would feel light and kind of free in my body. And I know this is going to sound gross, so I hope that your followers don't get offended by this, but I really noticed that my digestion, like by going to the bathroom and eliminating properly every single day, changed drastically when I went plant-based. And I lost the 10 pounds that I was trying to so desperately lose for my entire 20s. That weight finally came off when I started eating more fiber and eating more plants and just I was eating like things like dairy a lot and taking that kind of stuff out of my diet because I think it just kind of weighed me down.
I think that's so important. People don't talk about pooping enough, but it's not that glamorous. However, Gigi
It changes the
crackers,
day.
it does. Yeah. I mean, Gigi crackers are just fiber. I interviewed Tanya Zuckerbrot on our podcast, and I think her intentions are good. Like a substitute fiber whenever you can to reduce calorie intake in your diet is it's a great idea. But natural fibers are the best, of course. Like they come with vitamins and nutrients and minerals, and the density of the calories is matched by the nutrient content.
Right.
So I think that's really important. And the feeling of fullness that you get when you have fiber in your diet is so important. I've been using inulin in my coffee in the morning. I don't know if you do inulin or not, but it's a plant-based fiber. You put it in as a powder. It's pretty easy to do, and it keeps me feeling very satiated. And one of the best things about it is it cleans out your colon, because your colon, literally, when you make hormones in your liver, they're processed through the liver, they're excreted into the stool and into the poop. And if you don't release that, they continue to function as active hormone metabolites. And so the process of like being really regular allows you to get rid of these hormones that you're just carrying around, storing, and they cause some of these problems that we talk about with your weight gain, irritability, irritable bowel, like hormone flare-ups where your thyroid doesn't balance, infertility problems where it's hard to maybe get pregnant, or where you have, irregular periods. So I think it's so important to get on that regimen. Fiber, exercise, flat tummy by clearing out your colon as much as possible every day, getting rid of the waste products.
I love the idea. I never even thought of that, but I work with a lot of women clients one-on-one who have estrogen dominance, and exactly like what you said, I try to get them to eliminate as much as possible. So I love the idea of suggesting inulin coffee to them because those things like estrogen dominance also cause that irritability. It can cause different types of issues with your menstrual health. So when we have these hormonal issues, it comes packaged with a bunch of other issues. But having something additional support-wise, like inulin coffee, I try to do magnesium with a lot of my clients, but that's a really great idea. So I'm going to use that one.
That's a good one too. Do you have advice for women who are on birth control that they feel like that might be affecting them?
So birth control, I was on for 11 years, and I like to say to everyone, to each their own. Everyone should do, what makes them feel right. But for me, I know that it wasn't the best choice just because I had to constantly be changing the birth control I was on because I was having this breakthrough bleeding and all these other, awful symptoms, the moodiness, the bloating that came along with it. Finally, I got off of birth control when I was 28 and I was trying to get pregnant with my son. And I thought that I was going to be one of those women who went on their honeymoon and came back pregnant right away. And I wasn't. It took us about 9 months to conceive, which is longer than it takes for the average couple. And I attribute it to the long-term birth control use and not getting my period back for a while, taking everything taking a while to re-regulate. And what a lot of women don't know who are on birth control, the information I do want to share is that you're not getting a period every month when you're on birth control. That's really just your lining that is created from the fake hormones in the pill. Your lining is shedding. And your hormones that would happen if you were having a regular period where you would ovulate are suppressed because you're on the birth control pill. So if you have any issues like PCOS, or any other hormonal issues that are common among young women, the birth control pill is just masking that. And when you are ready to, get off of it and have children, it's going to be an issue that you may have to deal with. And for me, it was irregular periods starting from when I was in high school. That's why my doctor just like, oh, let's put you on the pill. And I didn't know any better back then. But it can really cause a whole host of issues that women don't want to have to deal with. So I would say it's better to just naturally track your cycles if you can. If that's something that you're open to, using an app like My Flow Tracker, so that you really know what's going on with your health, because your menstrual health is a really great sign of your overall health.
Right. It's been really lovely to see you with your new baby, how you're balancing everything. Do you have advice for new moms? Because it definitely is a lot harder than it looks. And you must have a whole family helping you, I'm sure. But yes. Any advice for trying to keep it sane and simple? It doesn't always look as good as an Instagram feed.
It definitely is not as good as Instagram feed looks, that is for sure. And I try to be as real and open and honest with my followers as possible. I have a nanny who comes Monday through Friday who helps me during the work week, and I would not be able to do it without her. I have my mom who lives 10 minutes away who will take him if I need to film a workout or get some content in. And the mom guilt is so real. I try to spend my mornings with West. That's what I always wanted to do, and spend my afternoons working, but sometimes it doesn't always work that way. I'm recording this podcast this morning, so he's with his dad. But I think the one biggest piece of advice that I could give you is, if you have one kid or multiple kids, trying to organize your week in a calendar, making sure you know what meetings and appointments you have to be at, who's going to be watching the baby when you're going to need help. If that is something that you can get, if you have a family member or someone that can help support you. And then the second thing would be, if you don't, having a friend or your husband or your partner, whoever the case may be, take the baby for 10 to 15 minutes a day so you can have some time to gather that sanity. So if you're going to go take a bath or go for a nice walk outside, whatever it is, I think all of us need time to keep ourselves sane, because being a full-time mom or being a mom and running a business or whatever the scenario is for you is hard work. It is really, really tough. So I feel for all the mamas out there.
It's really hard. Yeah. You really you do need those 15 minutes apiece. That's why I'm chronically tired, because I will stay up till 1 a.m. just to get those 15 minutes when the whole house is quiet and everybody's asleep and nobody can bug you and your husband doesn't need a back rub and like all the kids are in bed. So you need those 15 minutes to remember, like, to hear your own thoughts, even to just like have your brain get time to just decompensate and have its own thoughts.
Yes, 100%. I always say that's what my meditation practice is too, is like a time for me to meet with myself. I have all these meetings with everyone else, meetings and appointments, and I was like, I need a meeting with me to know what I'm really thinking right now.
So true. Yes, and you can't 100%. Be on your phone those times. That's one of the reasons social media is not good, because you don't get to meet with yourself. You're seeing other thoughts people are putting in your head with the visuals of everybody else feeding into your head, and you need to turn off those channels sometimes.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That is perfect advice, Dr. K.
Yeah.
Stay away from the phone late at night for sure.
Definitely. Well, you're doing a beautiful job with your Instagram feed. It's very inspirational. And I think it's so real. It is very real, where you show everything that moms have to go through and the different steps of your day. So congratulations on really, coming together. It's so lovely to see you blossom into this new aspect of your life. And this program is so good for my listeners and followers out there. If you haven't already met Kelley, where should people find you, Kelley?
Okay, so my Instagram is Wellness by Kelley and my website is wellnessbykelley.com. If you go to wellnessbykelley.com/memberships, you can sign up for a 7-day free trial to test out all my meditations and plant-based recipes and workouts. And I'm on Facebook too. I almost forgot about that.
Yes.
But
And
yes,
don't forget to spell Kelley with a Kelley. And
that's right. You got the
yeah,
K.
and you guys, there's a million different nutritional podcasts, plant-based people's, motivational people out there. But I really wanted to interview Kelley because I just think she does a beautiful job of bringing it together. And she comes from a life where she didn't need to do all this. She could have just been taken care of. But she's really made it her passion to like become her own person, find things that work for her, and really help this whole community of women. So I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. And I think you're doing an amazing job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. K. This was amazing. It was so good to see you. I can't wait to see you again in LA soon.
Anytime you got to come down, we'll do some baby Botox, a little bit of face maintenance. Moms need that too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to find me on my Instagram doing amazing things with people's faces at Beauty by Dr. K, DRKAY. And our website is the same. It's www.beautybydrk.com. And that's where you can find my amazing botanical ingredients and skincare. I use so much green tea in my skincare. Kelley, I gotta have to send you some of my vitamin C serum, my deep blue hydration and night quench. So good. And I know you love them already, actually.
I do. I love your products. They're my favorite.
That's it for now, guys. Stay healthy and beautiful.